Good morning, gang. It's been said before, it's been said again. No plan ever survives contact with the enemy, and this morning the enemy is me. I'm an hour behind, but I am on my way to Crooked Creek SRA, and I was expecting to be calling CQ by now, but I'm an hour behind. We'll see you guys there. Let's see what else life has to show us in terms of contact with the enemy. We are at Crooked Creek SRA. Not quite sunrise yet. And yeah, another item that got bit by the Good Idea Ferry. This is all paved over here. I didn't expect this parking lot to be 100% paved. So I got to figure out a way to getting the mast set up. And the other part was the road that brought me here. Well, Google Maps brought me one way, and I intended to approach from a different way. The way Google Maps brought me was a gravel road. Let's see if we can get this thing activated. I have 0 cell signal, so I'm 100% relying on calling CQ. Setup took a little bit longer than I expected by about 15 minutes, but came for a CK and fit half wave. I'm leaning the other mast against the tree, so hopefully this is high enough off the ground that I can get a good signal out here. We'll find out in just a minute. All right, I got here about 7:20 in the morning. It is almost 8 o'clock. I have 17 contacts on 40 meters at this park. The next park is 3 miles up the road. Let's see if we can get 10, 15 and stick a move. See you there. This is taking significantly longer than I thought it would. 20 minutes to go 3 miles. Yes, it's kind of like that. Park number 2, where TC Steel something rather other. Actually, there it is. Hang on, let me flip the script here. So TC Steel State Historic Site. Let me see if I can get set up, and 10Q, so it's pretty Q. Okay, it is 9:22. We're at Pine Grove SRA. I'm going to set up along the parking lot here and see if I can get my contacts. I have 1 bar of cell phone service here, so I might actually be able to spot myself. All right, I just realized that I didn't set up the power meter at the first 2 parks. So I have no idea exactly how much amperage I've drawn out of this battery so far, but going forward, I will have this power meter attached, and I will keep track of how much power I've pulled in my logbook over there, just to make sure that I have enough juice to end the day. Worst case scenario, I'll run it off my own car battery, but I'm trying to avoid doing that. It's 9:45 at the 3rd park. This park took drastically less time to get activated. Thank you everybody for the hunt. On to the next park. Let's break this down and get it set up in the next parks. The parking lot at Paintown SRA. It also happens to be a twofer. This is also Hoosier National Forest. The entrance says so, and the map agrees. So I'm setting up on the west side of the parking lot, the westish end of the parking lot, because the east side has power lines. I'm going to try to avoid those whenever I set up. 10:41 in the morning. I'm at a Curtright SRA. This is park number 5, and I am way behind my expected timeline, but such is life. Live and learn, right? Let's see if we can get all 11 done today, maybe even 12. Harding Ridge recreational area in the Hoosier National Forest. That's a twofer. So we'll get this one logged as a twofer when I get back to my home. But for now, let's get this park activated. Harding Ridge recreational area. I don't think it's a state. Actually, yeah, I don't know. We are definitely inside of the Hoosier National Forest. It is beautiful out here. Even though every tree has lost 90% of its foliage, or maybe even more, it is really pretty. I'm actually going to take a few minutes to walk around here after I'm done activating. But wow, really nice place. I need to come back here in the summer. Let's get a few contacts done. So I think I have figured out how to do a semi-rapid deployment of an MFET half wave. I have my homemade mast mount here, and I have one just like it at the other end. What I'm doing is basically picking up the other end, bringing the mast over to here, collapsing everything, putting the mast in, throwing all the wire in, throwing the feed line in, collapsing this mast, same thing, closing the door onto the next one, recovering the mounts, and then onto the next park. These mounts are, I'll show you in a second. Okay, so this is some 2-inch PVC with 3 screws that are bolted on the inside and an angle bracket. I want to say this angle bracket is 4 inches in length or something like that, maybe 5. I don't know. I'd have to look it up. But basically, I went to the hardware store, got this, bolted it all in together, and that's how I am supporting these 2 masts as I deploy them. The holes in there, I just ran a drill through the existing holes to make it fit so that my tent spikes would fit. So when I'm at a park, I'm looking primarily for a spot that is, soft dirt, or at least something I can drive a tent spike into. And I drive tent spikes through these to anchor it down. And then on this one over here, well, guess what? You can drive right over it. So it's a drive-on mount and a spike-in mount all in one. And as you can see here, sort of a rat's nest, but basically I throw the wire in slowly so that it coils one on top of itself, so that when I pull it out, it uncoils similarly and less of a mess. I haven't had a knot so far, knock on wood. I just cursed myself probably. So the next park I'll have a knot. But you see, I've been using my KM4ACK kit antenna. I haven't needed this exactly for the last, 3 parks or 4 parks, because I did the first park on 40 and that was exactly what I needed. But this setup of collapsing the masts and dropping everything else in is working so well that I don't want to mess with it unless I have to. So for now, we're going to keep on using it. And besides, the SWR on 20 for this is 1-to-1, at least on my radio. So this so far is doing awesome for me. Allen's Creek SRA is actually park number 6. I somehow managed to skip this one on my way to the one I was at last. So that one was 5, this is 6. I learned a lesson with this, and that is I need to write out these parks because obviously I went out of sequence. So this is going to cost me some time because I had to backtrack to get here. This is right next to the water. It's really nice down there. I may go down there and get some video. But for now, I'm going to set up my antenna from here to down there and see if we can get 10 contacts. Park number 9 so far. It is 3:15 in the afternoon, I think. Yep, 3:15 in the afternoon, and I'm at Fairfax SRA, State Recreational Area. There's a much better location towards the entrance, but there's no place to park. So I got like 29 contacts from this parking lot with the NFET half-wave set up, just as I have been all day. Wrapping it up here, heading to park number 10. 5 o'clock in the afternoon, and I am at Car Top SRA in the Monroe Reservoir. This is park number 11. 10 QSOs and my mission for today will be done. I might go get number 12 done, but this was my mission, right? This is what I came to do. 11 parks, 1 day, and here we are. So, a couple of lessons learned so far. 10 more QSOs minimum that I need to get. This specific location is in a hole, basically. This is a lower elevation than anywhere else I've been to today. So I'm hoping my signal gets out. I expect it will. 20 meters been doing pretty fine today. I'm using the KM4ACK NFET half-wave cut for 40. So worst case scenario, I can always switch to 40 and get it done. A few more QSOs, And mission accomplished. Maybe we'll get a bonus. Let's find out. All right, gang. That is a 12-park POTA rove. 12 parks because Hoosier National Forest is another park. I did 11 actual parks on the air parks. And then Hoosier National Forest is such a large area in the southern portion of Indiana that counts as a park of its own. And there are many places where you can activate and still be inside of Hoosier National Forest. I ended up with like 100 and some odd contacts total inside of Hoosier National Forest after I tallied everything up. I did learn a few things while I was doing this. One of the things I learned is I need to map this stuff out. And I don't mean like I did in the first video where I went around and got a good idea. No, I actually need to write out my map and write out my directions on how to get someplace, because the way I initially did it on my computer took me one route, and then Google Maps took me a completely different route on the morning of. And that may or may not have impacted me, and I think it did, because it took me through some gravel roads that were not part of my initial plan. The biggest issue I had in this entire rove was being on time at a park. Basically, I started late, and things just got compounded on top of each other when it came to time. Which brings me to my second point. Set an alarm. I don't sleep very well. Most of the time I wake up very early in the morning, somewhere between 3 and 4, maybe sometimes if I'm lucky 5 in the morning, and then I'm up all day. I expected that to happen. Well, guess what? That's the thing that did not happen on the day of the rove. I woke up an hour later than I wanted to get on the road. It meant that I was already behind my intended progression for the day in terms of being back to where I was staying at a reasonable hour. I learned that with practice, you can rapid deploy an NFET half wave. Most of the time we're going to deploy an NFET half wave at one place and be there for a while and then recover it and no big deal. But I did learn that if I don't wind the wire back, as long as I coil it in such a way that it doesn't come out as a rat's nest, I can just coil it in and not wind it onto the wire winder and end up with a very easy, fast deployable antenna, especially if I have everything already preset in the back seat of the car. Enjoy the process. I was having a blast doing this, going park to park and getting it activated. I did find myself in a bit of a funk when people would get in my way. Obviously, when we're in the public, we're ambassadors to this hobby. So we have to put on our good face and not let on that, hey, well, I'm on a schedule here, I'm on a mission. So I had a couple of parks where people stopped me and said, hey, what are you doing? And I had to explain to them what amateur radio is and what I was doing at this specific park and how I'm structuring my day. And I was hinting at the fact that I was going to a lot of parks today and that I needed to get this park done, but I was being polite about it. I was being nice about it, because you never know. That may be the person that we're trying to get into the hobby. We just don't know it. Maybe they have a tiny little bit of interest, and this is the one thing that pushes them over into, yeah, I got to do this. Be smart about how you deploy, and be smart about how you interact with people while you're at a park or generally in public, and enjoy that interaction for what it is. Someone is interested in what it is we are doing, and it may be that they're interested in doing it. So enjoying the process of talking to those people and saying, yeah, this is what I'm doing, and explaining the whole thing is part of it. Embrace it. Plan on not having a cell phone signal. I know, it is 2022 when I'm recording this, almost 2023, and it's crazy to think that there are parts of the United States that do not have cell phone service, and guess what? Almost every one of these parks didn't have cell phone service. So when I got to these parks, I couldn't spot myself on the Parks on their website, or I couldn't go to Discord. I could have planned it a little bit better and spotted myself ahead of time with a tentative spot. And all that to wrap up and say, I am very well aware of Murphy's Law. I didn't plan for a couple of things with it. I had backup radio, I had a backup power source, I had multiple antennas, I had multiple ways of getting an antenna set up.
I didn't have multiple ways of communicating other than my cell phone to the internet. I should have had some plan to go, oh, the cell phone connection here is terrible. It's probably terrible at the next park too, and at the next park also, and so on and so forth. Maybe, just maybe, make use of your location when you're up above the edge of the park where you're getting a cell phone signal to send that information out. I also didn't practice my antenna deployment. I should have. Maybe 10 or 15 minutes figuring this thing out at my house would have saved me an hour total, maybe more, back at the parks. It is what it is. Learn something from it, employ it next time, because that's part of the process also. Learning is part of the fun, right? That's it, folks. I got the 12 parks up. Thank you to all the hunters. Thank you to everybody that follows Parks on the Air, on the website, on the Discords. You all made this thing so fun. I'll be better prepared for my next rove. We'll catch you later. 7-3.